You know, you ask a woman the right question, you're going to stump her. And she's going to stop for a second. Shannon Alvarado is into power and control. You can tell that based on the fact that she just talks over me and repeats the same bullshit excuses over and over again. It's not her fault that she lied to me. Oh no, she never promised to do this. She never promised to do that. Or she didn't know because I never asked. I never asked her to help me to turn in the situation with Kara Johnson Miles. No, she just wants to fucking yell at me because she exposed Kara Johnson Miles to me, but literally not to anyone else. No matter what, she made every excuse not to try to help me to turn it in. So, what happened to me? I got victimized repeatedly by the police because I had to try to turn that shit in alone. Kara Johnson Miles and Rochelle Shelley Campbell and Danica Garner were allowed to continue the bullshit that they were pulling, along with Ted Bollinger and Alicia Bollinger. They were allowed to continue to threaten and harass me and to slander my name, resulting in more harm. They slandered my name in court, and Shannon Alvarado's fucking testimony could have made the difference. Why didn't it make the difference? Because she literally never tried. Many women thought that once they had control of my things, that they owned me and I had to do everything that they wanted. Oh, no, 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 no. You don't hijack my goddamn evidence. Now we're going to play something from a sexist dude who's sick of women's shit. Most of us are sick of your shit. There's a difference between feminism and what Shannon Alvarado does. Shannon Alvarado is a man-hating bitch. Man-hater. Unless he's a pedophile, in which case she'll do everything she can to help him to get away by playing fucking retarded and talking over the goddamn victim. Now let's play this video here.
When that lady attempted...
We need some milk! We now live in an era today where logic and facts are absolutely meaningless because it hurts your feelings.
Unfortunately, due to the limitations of the feminist intelligence, they still think there is a wage gap.
They don't like femininity. They don't like the female. It is terrorism against women.
If they are not doing stupid things, then they are doing useless things somewhere else. Let's be fair, they are a bit different.
Ma'am, please.
They are literally everywhere. Movies, games, music, you name it. But it gets worse.
It's not just flirting, just a hug, or just a joke. There's no excuse.
But apparently it is. Apparently it is if a woman does it. A woman is allowed to flirt. A man is not. Oh, wait. That depends on the man. If he is good looking or rich, then it's fine, isn't it? It's not just a look. It's not just a smile. We've heard these speeches before. Women, when they find you unattractive, literally everything is construed as rape. Everything is construed as an attack or an assault. Women are terrorists in this country. And any man who doesn't make six figures or 6 foot plus tall or have a massive penis is going to be ostracized, bullied, and shamed. Now, I'm not saying that those rich men are not targets. They're targets for a very different reason than those at the bottom are. We're the toolbox. We're the men that women lead on and pretend that they care about. But then again, we only exist when they need us. We're only friends when they have needs, or rather wants. That's the difference that I've noticed between most women and most men. When a man comes to you for help, he needs help. When a woman comes to you for help, she's lazy. Is that true 100% of the time? No. There are predators of every religion, predators of every skin color, predators of every gender. Now we're stuck on fucking pronouns. Human beings are dying because of this argument over pronouns. And now we've got folks who are trying to make it a felony to use the proper pronoun. If you're a dude in a dress and you rob a fucking bank, I'm going to tell the cops exactly what you are. You're a dude and you're wearing a dress. Because a dude in a dress sticks out in a crowd. You believing that you're a woman doesn't make you a woman. You believing that God made a mistake doesn't mean God made a mistake. God didn't fuck your mom. God didn't make your mom so drunk that she didn't think twice before throwing her vagina at an idiot who didn't use a condom. Then again, it's the man's fault for not using a condom, isn't it? It's always the man's fault. No, you got pregnant because you were irresponsible too. Yes, there are predatory men out there. However, women in the United States use accusations as tools of terrorism. And it is literally getting innocent men killed. If 7 women all date the same guy, and that guy has options and he throws her away, well, to a woman, that's like kicking her in the face. You're a horrible person for the hit to her fucking ego. When you're fucking done with her, when you tell her off, she'll pretend that you attacked her, that you're a violent person. And every woman plays these word games. Every single woman that wants to join this argument are going to play those word games, where first of all, they expect you to be patient and listen to them. Meanwhile, they're just going to talk over you and make bullshit excuses. You can hear through all of this how my predators are not rational. After they lie to me, especially these women, after they lie to me, I'm somehow the bad guy for speaking up about it. No, bitch. You do not get to deny me my First Amendment rights, neither to the cops, neither to the courts. I will not shut up. Looking in your direction is not rape. Saying hello is not rape. Smiling is not rape. Smiling is not an attack on you as a person. Smiling is not physical molestation of your body. A man flirting with you? Are you allowed to flirt? Are you allowed to flirt? There's lots of women complaining that men won't approach them because socially we're supposed to. We're supposed to ask and she's supposed to decide yes or no. When a man says no, a woman may say just about anything. From you're a child molester, to your rapist? Or here's a good one for you. These women who post up the "I support the LGBT community," but a man tells them no, so they run around to a bunch of people who hate homosexuals and say, "Oh, he wears girls' underwear. He's into little boys." Time and time again, I have seen this throughout my life. I don't want to be anywhere near women. I don't trust them because women have shown me that I don't matter. If I don't matter, neither the fuck do you.
Sexual harassment.
Sexist! Stupid! You're a white male! You're a man! Everything a man does is right! Triggered? I'm triggered!
Meanwhile, and sexism doesn't come from women. So of course it's caused by men. This is a social construct.
You don't think women can be sexist?
I don't think that women can enforce misogyny.
What a load of nonsense.
No, because it's all...
You don't think any women can be sexist?
This woman literally just said sexism does not come from a woman, so it had to come from a man. That is the biggest steaming pile of giraffe shit. And this is literally the most sexist thing I've ever heard in my entire life. You see, feminists will make up any kind of bullshit. Feminists be like, God is sexist because he was a guy nailed onto a cross.
This is transgender model Monroe Bergdorf. Earlier this week, a major makeup firm hired her as one of the faces of modern diversity for an advertising campaign. But just days later, she's been sacked by the firm for a now deleted Facebook post in the wake of white supremacist rallies in Charlottesville.
This is why there's a problem, because you're taking it personally.
There is a problem. I am taking it personally. Yes.
It isn't about
when you say all white people are racist, as a white person, I find that offensive.
Please let me speak instead of speaking over me.
The floor is yours.
You believe that all white people have taken...
Now you notice how even though she is attacking him over something he has not done, she is attacking him and demands her turn to speak. And he is kind enough to say, "You have the floor," allowing her the chance to, well, actually speak. Does she allow that to him? No, she's going to interrupt him and change the fucking subject. She has zero winning arguments.
Part in racial violence, which is what you wrote.
I believe that society is built on the foundation. It's not what I believe, it's a fact that society is built on the foundations of colonialism and slavery.
Clarify, poor white people have a better chance in Britain of getting out of their poverty than poor black people.
Yes.
All of them.
I feel like I'm up against the wall with you, Piers.
No?
She says
He just changes the subject. She just changes the subject. Does not answer the question. Just pretends like she's being assaulted. I'm back against the wall. No, I'm back against the wall, dumbass. Well, you get special rights. You have special rights.
and against the wall. But in reality, she is just against the truth. And speaking of the truth, this is coming from a mixed race, transgender woman speaking on live national television. And that itself already counters all of her arguments.
Amen.
Hello? Yes?
I am super non-conforming, L-sexual, reverse trans, optic gender.
And speaking of transgenders,
Being brave is being yourself, and being transgender is about the bravest thing you can do.
why are we mainstreaming delusion?
Are we mainstreaming delusion?
It's not delusion.
Why would you call it delusion?
Because Bruce Caitlyn Jenner. I'll call him Caitlyn Jenner.
No, it's her. You're not being polite to the pronoun.
Because
disrespectful.
Okay, forget about the disrespect. Facts don't care about your feelings. It turns out that every chromosome, every cell in Caitlyn Jenner's body is male, with the exception of some of his sperm cells. It turns out that his bone structure is male. It turns out that he still has all of his male appendages. How he feels on the inside is irrelevant to the question of his biological sex.
Chromosomes don't necessarily mean you're male or female.
Gender.
But even so, you have a thing like Klinefelter's syndrome. So you don't know what you're talking about. You're not educated on genetics.
Discuss the genetics.
Well, no.
What are your genetics?
So that's different from the genetics and back to the brain scans.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
Yeah, that seems mildly inappropriate for a political discussion.
Cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
If he responded back with, "That wasn't very ladylike of you," I would have fucking lost my shit. Because nowadays, the world is no longer a clown show. It is a whole fucking circus.
You said whites are the most violent and oppressive people.
Well, yeah.
That's what you said in your film.
And if you're going to go back
So that
to
would seem to
statistics,
me that
statistics point that out too.
They don't,
the
actually.
Chinese were massacring Chinese and other races long before they'd ever met a white person. Attila the Hun wasn't white. It's the same in the subcontinent, if you go back hundreds of years as well. The genocide in Rwanda was black on black. So is the Congo, which is the rape capital of the world.
When it comes to education, the whole system needs to change. But
let me look at education. Let's look at the figures on education. 33% of white kids go to university or further education. 37% of black kids go to university or further education. 67% of Indian kids go to university or further education. 76% of Chinese kids go to university or further education.
But wait, there's more.
Don't uphold the patriarchy, Piers. That is
Uphold
not
the
case. The patriarchy.
What's that?
You don't know what the patriarchy is.
I do, but explain it.
The patriarchy is basically a structure that puts men at the top of power. So
I just love the fact that this donkey calls out the patriarchy being empowered by males when her whole fucking country was run and ruled by a queen. The queen is probably somewhere in heaven punching the air right now.
How bloody fucking dare you!
There's a saying that it is difficult, not easy, to win an argument against an intelligent person, but it is nearly impossible to win an argument against a freaking idiot. I don't even like Piers Morgan, but damn it, did he extrapolate and dismantle her argument in a very professional manner.
Look, I've seen a lot of...
Thank you so much for having me.
I've seen a lot of your clips, and I can't help but think whether you actually mean half the things that you say and whether you're just trying to get attention. Do you actually believe in what you say, or are you just trying to stir the pot?
Well, a lot of people have that reaction. A lot of people have that question. I don't know why it should be weird that a gay guy would be skeptical or fearful of Islam. I don't see anything strange about a gay person liking the Bible and liking the First Amendment and liking low taxes. I don't find anything odd about me, really. In order to find me peculiar or strange, or in order to think that perhaps I'm putting it on, you have to sign up to this idea of identity politics, which suggests that just because somebody is black or gay or a woman, they have to have particular political or ideological positions. I reject that idea.
I don't care whether you're gay or whatever. I'm just saying, you know, some of the things are just so outrageous, and the way you put them, I think, is he like a real life Borat that's just out there to make fun of everyone? And
what do you think is outrageous? What do you think that I've said is outrageous?
Well,
Give me something, and perhaps I can explain it for you.
You've called rape culture a fantasy. You've likened feminism to cancer. You've said that women on the pill don't look right, they don't talk right.
Meanwhile, all of these things are actually proven. Women on birth control, that's the pill. Yes, they do end up having a lot of genetic issues because that pill is going to fuck with your genetics. It fucks with your genetic makeup. A lot of women are going to get the pill because it makes sure that they don't get acne. Meanwhile, the long-term effects of birth control are well documented now, and they're scary as fuck. Now let's back this up just a few seconds here, because I want to hear that again.
Just so outrageous, and the way you put them on thing, is he like a real life Borat that's just out there to make fun of everyone? And
what do you think is outrageous? What do you think that I've said is outrageous?
Well,
Give me something, and perhaps I can explain it for you.
You've called rape culture a fantasy. You've likened feminism.
It is a fantasy. There is no rape culture from men in the United States. There are individual men who are rapists. The only people pushing the rape culture are women. The reason that I stopped being friends with Erica Lopez before Natalie was killed was because Erica Lopez was taking part in rape society. Promoting rape society. Promoting looks and money over humanity. There's a lot of women and men that I dropped off for taking part in rape culture. Now, as far as there not being a rape culture is absolutely a myth when it comes from men. Men do not have a culture of rape. We have a culture where we are taught to protect you from rapists. But all the men who will protect you from rapists go in the toolbox. I'm not calling it the friend zone because we're not fucking friends. I exist when you want to use someone. Rape culture does exist, and it is coming primarily from the women in our culture. That's the problem with teaching them all to lie when they don't get what they want. Or that their emotions are more important than facts. Oh, you feel like he's emotionally cheating on you, but it's fine for you to actually cheat on him, isn't it? If he emotionally cheats on you, you will never let him live it down, will you? Even if it's just some fucking crazy thing in your head. But if you cheat on him, it's his fault for working too much, for not spending enough time with you. But when he spends enough time with you, you complain that he's not bringing in enough money. Now, although I agree with this person about rape culture being a myth, I'm talking about rape culture from men. No, we are not all rapists. Less than 1% of men are rapists. Women have a higher rate of sexual assault against men. It's just not considered sexual assault unless it's against a woman. Meanwhile, you don't have to rape anyone to go to prison for rape. You can go to prison because somebody pretended that you might. Now let's continue.
Feminism to cancer. You've said that women on the pill don't look right.
Feminism is fucking cancer. It's worse than cancer. So what this person said, this person isn't taking pop shots and making fun of people. This person is stating F-A-C-T-S. Facts. But apparently, stating a fact is what? Apparently it's making fun of people? Apparently it's being Borat? No, absolutely not. What do you call that type of association? Using like or as? What do you call that association? These journalists should know the difference. They do know the difference. They're playing stupid. Your emotions.
They don't talk right, but you suggest that we don't...
Things...
Now, when it comes to women on the pill not talking right, well, there is an increased chance of a lot of things that do mess with your vocal cords having to do with those pills. It's not just your vocal cords. It's also your entire body development. Our 12, 13, and 14-year-old girls ending up with very, very, very robust features that you would expect on a grown woman? Are they getting those odd figures that we didn't see in the 1980s? Are they getting those now because women just magically enlarge? Like all of a sudden, after years and years and years of macroevolution, all of a sudden there's just a whole generation of women in the early 90s to present day that magically, even though all the women before that, or the majority of the women before that, developed naturally. You don't think this has anything to do with the majority of these women being given birth control pills at 12, 13, and 14 years of age for their quote-unquote acne? A lot of parents will give their underage child birth control just because they know that she's not going to be able to control her hormones. A lot of women that I know insist on forcing their daughters to take birth control because they know that their daughter is not going to keep her legs together. She is going to get pregnant. The chances of her not getting pregnant, well, if you have her on birth control for having pimples or to prevent pimples starting at the age of 12, maybe you can decrease the chance of an underage pregnancy. And how many of you girls, whether or not your mother approves, how many of you heard out of your mother whether or not you'll have good-looking kids with the guy?
True.
Okay, you said that you say... Do you really believe
rape culture
it,
on
though?
American college campuses, to say that there is a rape culture implies that there is a system or an environment which encourages rape. That doesn't exist on American college campuses.
This person is absolutely right, to some degree. The rape culture today is a culture whereby women are allowed to rape men and rape other women, and we're supposed to look the other way. There isn't a system set up in place in colleges around America to promote and encourage rape. There's just rotten cops like in Boulder, Colorado, and public image to think of that results in them stuffing rapes the way they do in Boulder, Colorado. The other thing is, there's a lot of women who use that as a tool. It's the fact that the majority of women who make accusations are lying and have been proven to be lying that makes it so difficult for female victims who are actually raped. There's also the fact that women on campus are taught how to use and abuse men, and which men they can use and abuse. Women are taught this from birth, just like men are taught that we're supposed to protect women and children from child molesters and rapists and murderers. Meanwhile, who's most likely to kill your child? Your mother. The mother of the child is, bar none, the most likely person to kill the child. The mother is the most likely person to physically assault that child. The mother is the most likely to verbally abuse the child. But you blame men. It's men's fault that you do those things, isn't it?
And just to believe in the statistics that feminists peddle, that 1 in 4, 1 in 5 women is going to be sexually assaulted in her time on campus, you'd have to believe that American college campuses have rape rates that approach those of the Congo, where rape is used as a weapon of war. We don't reward rapists.
Now in the Congo, we have much different numbers than here in the United States. In the Congo, 90% of women report being raped. 90% of them. In places. Depends on the region. But this person is absolutely right. The number of rapes that are claimed versus the number of actual rapes don't line up. It's gotten to the point where women use accusations of rape to say, oh, see, I'm like you. Oh, you were raped? Well, that's popular. So now we're all rape victims. Yay. It's horrible. Especially when the things that women have done to men. Us men are taught not to consider it sexual assault. The very same things that women do to men, that we're not allowed to consider sexual assault, or we're ostracized or berated or bullied if we come forward about. Women are blatantly pretending those things happened whenever they don't get what they want. Whenever the facts don't fit their emotions. In the 1980s, we taught people to use their brains. We taught black kids to use their brains. We taught white kids to use their brains. We taught boys to use their brains. We taught girls to use their brains. Unfortunately, as you got to hear today on my channel, and I got a few recordings that aren't on my channel yet, well, we'll get to that. Let's get back to this person talking.
Our society, we put them in prison. On the feminism question, women agree with me. 4/5.
We put men in prison because a woman pretends that he might be a rapist. We put men in prison because a woman hides behind her children after she commits a felony. Look at Leslie Snell and Scott DaCosta. They both got to hide behind Leslie Snell's kids. So did several other predators like Christopher Kurth, Carl Snell, and, of course, Clint Snell. You goddamn right I speak up. Do we put rapists in prison here? Well, that depends on where. In the cities, yeah, we try to put away rapists. But who it is that's considered a human being comes into play as well. Here in the United States, if they can't find the rapist, they'll blame a hobo. And then, of course, they got all this BS that makes it so that the quote-unquote victim doesn't even have to identify the predator if it's a hobo. They just lock him up. They know he doesn't have the money for bail. They know nobody's going to come and fucking get him. So they let him sit there until he pleads guilty. One man here in the United States was in prison for 7 years. 7 years because he was homeless. Now all anybody wants to push about him is that the man was black. No, there's white men who have gone through the same thing, but nobody cares because they're white. Once in a while, the news will touch on it, but for the most part, it doesn't stir up the mud or piss people off, so it doesn't increase their ratings. Their ratings are based on how well their news entertains people.
American women do not describe themselves as feminists, and just 7% of British women describe themselves as feminists. I would imagine that Australia, being a very sensible country, would share those views too. It's only journalists who insist on political positions and insist on feminism in public.
I've heard you say that. I've heard you say that with almost every interview that I saw you do. But on your statement,
then you should ask different questions, darling.
See, that's the thing. That lady was... Blah, 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 blah. That's all, folks. She was completely dumbfounded. Oh, you said that in your other interviews. Well, yeah, exactly. Ask new questions. Ask different fucking questions. You don't want the same answers as the other interviews? Well, stop being a fucking idiot. If you're going to ask the same question over and over again and complain you get the same answer, you're a fucking idiot.
I've been studying and analyzing feminism for a very long time. And what I learned is that feminism, it is not about equality. It is not about women's rights, but it is about leverage. Because if you can ask any woman, do they want equality, love, or power? And they will simply reply back with,
could it be because women use sex to get power?
Some of them, yes, yeah.
Are women more interested in love or power?
Depends on the person.
Are men more likely to use power to get sex, or are women more likely to use sex to get power?
Sex to get power.
Do you think women are more interested in love or power?
Power.
Really?
Now, if we dive deeper and look at the history of the womanist movement, feminism in the early 1980s was about women wanting the same rights as men, and that I can fully support and respect.
I was a feminist when feminism was about equality, about leveling the playing field, giving women an opportunity to find their rightful place, particularly in the public world, which was tremendously important and exciting when we achieved that.
Feminism in the early 2000s was about women are better than men.
But what feminism today, to me, is all about advantaging women at the expense of men. And it's become very much caught up in the demonisation of males, presenting them always at a disadvantage. And I don't want to have any part of that. I was writing recently about boys' education, which is something I've written about for many decades. And I came across an article I wrote 40 years ago where we just started to notice how badly boys were doing vis-a-vis girls. I mean, we'd had 10 years of programs trying to help girls do better in the schools, which was fantastic. And a lot of girls who had been held back by traditional assumptions about, girls not speaking up and girls not doing well in maths were now beginning to shine, which is a fantastic thing. But what was becoming very obvious is there were also a lot of boys falling behind and not achieving their potential. We have really very much feminist ideology infiltrating all our education systems, systematically I've written about for many decades. And I came across an article I wrote 40 years ago where we just started to notice how badly boys were doing vis-a-vis girls. I mean, we'd had 10 years of programs trying to help girls do better in the schools, which was fantastic. And a lot of girls who had been held back by traditional assumptions about, girls not speaking up and girls not doing well in maths were now beginning to shine, which is a fantastic thing. But what was becoming very obvious is there were also a lot of boys falling behind.
For some odd reason, popped me over to the camera on my phone for just recording, and I'm trying to record YouTube, so I had to press the back button a couple of times.
I've written about for many decades, and I came across an article I wrote 40 years ago where we just started to notice how badly boys were doing vis-a-vis girls. I mean, programs trying to help girls do better in the schools, which was fantastic. And a lot of girls who had been held back by traditional assumptions about, girls not speaking up and girls not doing well in maths were now beginning to shine, which is a fantastic thing. But what was becoming very obvious is there were also a lot of boys falling behind. We have really very much feminist ideology infiltrating all our education systems, systematic programs to continue to advantage girls, and no one taking...
Problems that face autistic people are being ignored because we have women who are pretending to be autistic and literally getting on and making it all about only women, only autistic women. Then we've got BLM. BLM was started because, of course, 96% of those killed by police every year, 96% are men. So BLM isn't about black lives, it's about men's lives. And we've got women hijacking that, saying, how dare you do something about black men who are being murdered at such a high rate when women get raped? We need to ignore black men who are being murdered because black women are being raped. Well, you know what? White women get raped too. So do white men. So do black men. There are women now who are so brazen as to drug men, sexually assault them, and then brag about it on YouTube and Twitter. There's no such thing as feminism anymore because women have all the rights. Men have no rights. We don't have the right to look in any direction at all. We don't have the right to say anything. We don't have a right to an opinion, but we pay for the majority of everything. Women work an average of 7 hours less per week of overtime. What's the wage gap difference? It actually does not exist. It does not exist. Individually, you may find some women who will complain because they're getting paid $1,000 less than one other person. Like here in Tillamook, a police officer was claiming that she was being horribly mistreated because she was a female, because she was getting paid $97,000 a year, and one of her male co-workers was earning $98,000 a year. $1,000 difference. Meanwhile, I have to try to survive on right around $10,000 a year. She makes almost 10 times what I make in a year. She was heard by the paper, but she also has a place to go through all that. She's not stuck homeless and disabled.
Any notice of the fact that boys are falling out in huge numbers.
Feminism, present day, is about women wanting to be men. Men ain't shit.
Men ain't shit.
Women are better than men.
A life without children is vacuous, and it's inane, and it's pointless. And you may sit here and think that your career matters, but the truth is that your job will fire you out of women, don't give a second, don't give a solitary shit. And when you're 52 and you're past it with no grandchildren in a house by yourself and all your friends and grandchildren in this beautiful life, and you're sitting there by yourself, do you think the fact that you can afford a few extra Gucci bags is going to genuinely make you feel happy? I was at my grandmother's 93rd birthday. I looked there. My grandmother had 9 children. So there was my father and 8 more. They all had a bunch of kids, blah, blah, blah. I stood there and I looked at my 93-year-old grandmother, and there was a whole room full with maybe 70 people that came from that one woman. That nobody cared about her career. Nobody asked what job she did. Nobody asked how many times she went to the club. Nobody asked if she had time to go to festivals. No, you had 70 sentient beings, including myself, full of life from one woman who dedicated herself to being a mother and a good wife. That is beautiful. And if you sit here and genuinely think that you're going to work your ass off through your fertile years, and by the age of 54, you're not going to be suicidal alone with a cat, then you're dumb. The happiest women on earth have children and a man who's paying the bills and their mothers. The happiest people on earth. I guarantee it. Your mothers, ask your own mother, do you regret having me? She's going to say, of course not. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. So now you're going to sit here and you're going to end your own bloodline? All your ancestors were out there surrounded by saber-toothed fucking tigers trying to survive on the streets. Just to get to the final end where we have all the medical care and you can live in a nice warm house for your fucking selfish ass to say, no, I don't want kids. I'm too busy in the fucking strip club or going to fucking Mallorca to have a pina colada on the beach. It's absolutely insulting to your entire bloodline. Everything everyone above you has ever done and struggled for. All the times your grandparents went to work when they didn't feel like it, just for you to exist, for your selfish ass to say, no, me and my passions and my dreams and my shit drawings and my Instagram page is worth more than ever having children. You're a selfish fuck. Fuck that. You should all have kids.
Andrew Tate did a spectacular job breaking that down.
Do I believe that you owe it to people to have kids? No. That sentiment there, I don't agree with in its entirety. There are parts of it that I do agree with. Without procreation, there is no propagation of the species. However, you know what? Sometimes you end up with someone who's dumb. Do you really want to convince those dumb people to reproduce? Do you really want the most selfish women on the planet reproducing? Please do not try to convince them to have kids. They will teach their kids to be as twisted, as fucked up, and as manipulative as they are. So although I do agree with some of what that guy said, I wholeheartedly disagree with him trying to convince those women to have kids. I would not encourage Adolf Hitler to have kids. I would not encourage Ava Brown to have kids. These are not good people. These are selfish people who don't give a damn about anybody but themselves. So no, I don't think that telling them, first of all, reproducing, hey, if you want to have hopes and dreams, that's fine. Just don't go crushing on other people's. Now that guy, part of that, he's right about. The Twitter and your shitty fucking drawings, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck. Now the first part of that, I have to disagree with him on. We're going to move past that, aren't we? That's what men are told to do. We just need to move on, move on, move on, while she brings up shit that didn't even happen 20 years ago. While she tells you, oh, that's in the past, when she just hit you 20 minutes ago. Oh, you just need to let it go. No, I don't need to let it go. Women are taught to be physically violent today. And it has only been promoted more and more and greater since the 90s. Now that it's at the point that women are getting knocked the fuck out for stepping up, well, we want to victimize the men who defended themselves by hitting her back. You know, there's a lot of women that I knew who smacked a lot of different men, hit a lot of different men, screamed at a lot of different men in public. Big difference between Jamie, who's got some mental issues from being abused, and a woman who just feels empowered and wants someone to take her shit out on. Do you know the difference? Also, yeah. Do you really want these women to reproduce? Or would you rather they die sad old women with a cat? Would you rather propagate the species with women like that? Or women who see you as an equal, instead of a piggy bank, a wallet, or a fucking tool? There's no such thing as the friend zone. You're either a tool or you're not.
Now, fellas, that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
Breaking news! Ladies!
I don't like comment, or subscribe to his videos. Most of it I do see as misogynistic stupidity. A lot of their comments and a lot of their arguments are fucking valid. A lot of these guys do the whole arguing that women belong in the kitchen thing, which is bullshit. The best cook belongs in the kitchen. In my mother's household, it was either I cooked for everybody or everybody just kind of cooked whatever they wanted if they were able to cook. A lot of times, my siblings, being unable to cook, would cook something for themselves that they're not going to eat, and then they'd try to pawn it off on me. Hey, Sean, you want the rest of this? No, I don't. And then, of course, Mom or Scott would come home and say, whose burnt macaroni and cheese is this? And my little sister would go, that's Sean's. I'd be like, no, it isn't. I didn't make it. My little sister would say, I gave it to Sean. I thought Sean was going to eat it. Well, no, Sean wasn't going to eat it. You burnt it. You didn't want to eat it. Why the fuck would I want to? And don't get me wrong, I love my little sister. I do. She was raised by one of the most twisted, manipulative women I know. My own mother. My mother blamed me for her cocaine habit, even though it started before I was born. She blamed my older brother for her cocaine habit, even though it started before he was born. She blamed my little brother and my little sister for her cocaine habit, even though it started before she was born. She blamed my stepdad, Scott, for her cocaine habit, even though it started before they knew each other. Power and control. For Shannon Alvarado, it was never about doing the right thing. It was about power and control. She may have had good intentions, but the fact is, her words versus her actions show that she never had good intentions. She claimed to have good intentions, but her inability to tell the truth or fess up to the fact that her assumptions and stupidity are more important than the truth, more important than human life. Shannon Alvarado could have helped put a stop to this, but all she wanted to do is get drunk and fucking talk over me and ignore literally everything that I say to her. Then she'll try to reword something that I said years ago. When she can't remember shit else about the situation, she can somehow, magically make an excuse that, well, here's the problem. Just like with my predators before Natalie was killed, my predators after Natalie was killed had to outright fucking lie. I only had to lie to try to get a court date. That's right, I literally had to threaten the lives of the people who were threatening to kill me in order to get a court date. Oh yeah, and then I wasn't allowed to go. Also, that ended up being 17 different court dates. Not that it mattered. People like Shannon Alvarado, Brandon Ratner, they didn't give a fuck. They just wanted to hide their own involvement like fucking cowards. And make any excuse not to fucking try. I'm not going to stop speaking up about Shannon Alvarado. She had her chance to come forward, tell the truth, and be a good person.